Hello, welcome. My name is JesseMcDesign. Today we're going to be building this custom sign for a local business. Let's get started. So this week we got a fun one. As you can already see, it's going to be quite large. I got hit up by someone I kind of know. I'm pretty sure we went to high school together. They were a few years ahead of me, so you know, you just kind of see them around or whatever. But they're a barber and they're going to be moving into their own space. It's going to be a new, like, high-end, classy barber situation in a very nice building downtown Pittsburgh. And they saw me, you know, creating the things I do, and they gave me the opportunity to make them a sign for their business. So you can't really see that, but there we go. It's a Penn Barber Co. and it's a Pennsylvania barber company, obviously, and this is kind of a play off of the Pennsylvania flag with the horses and all that. You know, we got the eagle, but then in the shield we got the barber utensils. I'll pop a image up on the screen of what it looks like so you can get a better look. I already went ahead and printed this out, cut it all together, taped it, everything to size. And what we got now is all the separate pieces, which is these two horses, a shield, all the letters, and then a couple little filigree pieces. And then for the bands, I got this 1/4 inch by 1/2 inch just piece of wood, and I'm just gonna try my best to cut it in half nice and even, and then that'll be those two little pieces. And the plan is going to be, I have all of these pieces are going to be cut out of this, it's like a PVC board, I think it's what it's called. It's like a hard plastic type of deal, but it's a 1/4 inch thick, you know, same as this little piece of wood. It's going to match. We're going to cut out all these pieces, and it's going to be quite a lot. There's quite a bit of detail, especially in these horses. To do it right, make it look good, you know, this is going to be a very high-end, nice sign we're going to be building here. So I'm going to take my time to really sand everything, which is going to take a long time, and getting into the details of this horse is going to be a lot of filing and stuff. So there's going to be quite a bit of time lapses of me doing all of that. And we're going to take all those pieces and paint them this really nice gold color. There's a little bit of a metallic in here, so it's going to really make them pop. And then what we're going to put those on is going to be 3/4 inch thick of MDF. We'll router a nice edge onto that, and that will go this really nice dark blue, which I think for just like random spray cans, they match the logo pretty well. So I'm happy with all of that. And then we'll end up giving all of that stuff a high gloss clear, just so it has an extra coat of protection and it's nice and glossy, and give it that extra depth. With all that being said, that's pretty much the plan, what we got going on here. Again, it's going to be a lot of sanding and cutting these things out. You know, I might have to do a lot of it by hand. I've never messed with this PVC board, and that's the first thing we're going to try now. Is we're actually going to just lightly scuff this board, and we're going to spray down a glue, and we're just going to glue all these stencils down directly, so I know they're not going to move or anything crazy. And I'm just going to cut, file, and sand right up to the line. There's a few things I'm going to have to touch up before I start cutting, but that's where we're gonna start. So let's jump on the time lapse, get these glued down, and start cutting. Alright, so we got our pieces rough cut. I didn't really film it because I kind of forgot, and I also had to use the work bandsaw, and I try to get in and out of there as quick as I can. But we basically got all our stuff pretty rough cut, kind of close, kind of not, for a couple reasons. One, the blade is a lot wider there, so I can't really maneuver and get fine details like I can with a super skinny scroll saw type deal. And two, it creates like a really jagged edge. I don't know if you can be able to see that or not, but which means I have to sand that out, right, to make it nice and smooth and look nice. So a lot of the letters are pretty close. I already kind of started some of them. You can kind of see this R is looking pretty nice. It's taken a decent amount of time. Like I said, I'm starting with the letters. They're pretty easy and most of them are fairly close. I'm just working out all the outside profiles first, just so they don't get too flimsy and like break as I'm sanding or anything crazy. I also brought my drill home so we can start drilling out the centers of, you know, the letters and all the detail in these horses and everything. This PVC board, whatever this is called, is pretty soft, so it's going relatively quick. It's still going to take a long time, especially detailing out these horses, and I still have to do quite a bit of cutting out on the shield portion here, which is going to take quite a while. So I'm kind of starting off easy, making sure it's, you know, I can kind of get into the flow of things before I start digging into details and stuff. But as you can also see, I got an assortment of a couple different files, a couple different sand and block type deals. I just picked up this new Copen saw because mine was falling apart. The blade kept wanting to pop off, so got this nice new one that's working great. And we're just gonna continue plugging away on this because it's gonna take a lot of time. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're taking a little bit of a break from doing all this cutting and sanding, and we've gotten all the outside pieces, or the outsides of the pieces, at least cut, if not sanded as well. I'd say we're about halfway there with all the cutting and sanding and stuff. As you can see, I still have to cut out pretty much, well, all of the insides of everything, but most of that is the shield and like all the really fine detail on the horses, which is going to take quite a bit. I'm just going to have to get in there with small files and just go at it. But we're at a point where we can kind of lay this out again on our main backing board that we're going to make the plaque piece out of. So I figured we take the few minutes, take a break, from all of that nonsense and just kind of focus on this for a little bit. And we're gonna, pretty much what you see, we're just gonna lay it out a little bit nicer and neater, and really just measure everything out and lay out our background piece. We'll have to make sure our inner radius sections are gonna fit our router, so our router will cut a nice edge when we do the top bit. So we're gonna just jump on the time lapse again and start figuring this out. Alright, so update. We got everything into primer finally. Took quite a while, I'll be honest. Many weekends. But I was kind of expecting it to take quite a while. We also got our base. This is the backside, and that's why it looks kind of a mess. We're about to clean it up right now. We got it cut out to size, and we got that nice edge routed in, and everything's gonna fit really nice. We filled up the little holes that we had to patch and everything. But what we're gonna do now is actually I have these little hardware bits. It's just a simple, you know, you put a couple screws into a wall and then you kind of just slip these over and they slide down into place. So I'm gonna mark out where these are gonna go, put those in, and I'm not gonna do it now obviously, but at the very end we'll also add a couple simple little rubber feet just to protect the wall that it ends up going on. So what we got going on now is we're gonna mark out a couple, two on each side on the top of this thing. We won't need any more than that. The rubber feet will help keep it in place, and this thing isn't gonna be super heavy. Two will be plenty. And then we're gonna let the rest of this cure. I just sprayed this a couple hours ago, the primer on everything. The pieces are on the floor curing. Again, this is the back side of the face. The front is cured enough that I'm not gonna mess it up too bad. Again, I gotta sand it still, so no worries. We're gonna sand it all final, probably start with like a 400, maybe like a 600, and see how that sands. And then final coat all this stuff in color, and then we'll let it cure for a day or so, at least a few hours. And if we have to do any little minor sanding, any little specks or whatever might get into it, you know, we're doing this outside. I don't have, you know, a garage or anything I can make a booth out of. You know, this is pretty big. I need a decent amount of space, so if anything gets into it, you know, we can just do a little scuff and just do a little touch up if we have to, and then we'll come back and put a nice clear coat on everything as well. I did a quick sample. As you can see, this is just blue. I didn't really get too crazy. I mainly just wanted to see the color, and then I put a quick layer of the gold on the other pieces, and it's gonna look great. This is just gonna be a gloss blue. There's no metallic or anything in this, but in the gold it's super flaky, it's super sparkly, it looks super good. I'm excited to, and I think that contrast will make it pop extra. So let's get into these final couple time lapses and then get this thing final assembled. Alright, so finally, after many weekends of filing and sanding, we got all our stuff painted. It's looking great. The horses, I just finished up doing a little touch up last night, so they're off curing. By the time we get this all ready to go, they'll be able to be put into place. But all this stuff has been curing for at least a couple days, and I just set this up last night, just kind of set it in place just to kind of see what we got going on. And so far it's looking pretty good. I don't want to show you too much, you know, this is all you're going to get till the final shots. But what we're going to do now is we're going to slowly start gluing these things in piece by piece. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this bottom strip piece, make sure that goes in nice and straight and even top to bottom, and enough that this little piece can fit in the bottom. And then we will go up and get this main shield piece into place, gapping it on the top, similar to the gap on the bottom, and then we'll line up the top band to that piece nice and straight, and then that'll help us line everything else up. You know, all the letters will be gapped in between here really nice, and then the horses sit on top of this band and the shield, and then the inner shield and the small pieces are dictated by the bigger shield. So we're gonna do one more final time lapse, get this all finished, glued up, then we're gonna do a final clear coat on the whole thing to give it a little bit extra protection, and also kind of help glue everything else together, you know, maybe seal up some seams and stuff, make it look extra nice, and then we'll get some final shots of this thing. I just spent the last couple of weeks building a custom sign for a local business. Check it out. All right, so there you have it. Super happy with how this thing came out. I obviously haven't delivered it yet. You may have seen that in the video, or I might put it after this. I haven't really decided yet. I'm gonna end up going and helping deliver and install this thing. The customer was kind of worried that he wouldn't be able to get help that'll help install this carefully enough to not drop it or do anything crazy, you know. So it's also 10 minutes away, so that's no big deal. I'm happy to do it. As far as some things I might do differently. I don't know if I would use the plastic sheet that I used to make all the gold bits. I probably just end up using a 1/4 inch, same thickness wood or whatever, and just do it that way. Didn't really make a difference, and I think the price of the sheet of each material would be roughly the same. So other than that, not too much to complain about. Again, super happy. Came out just as good as I expected. There was a few changes along the way, which, you know, gotta just kind of tackle those head on and just make the adjustments. But if you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up, it really helps. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe. I'm always over here doing some sort of creative thing, making decor, furniture, some sort of art project, painting, drawing, who knows? Leave in the comments below what I should do next. See you on the next one.